Mighty are we, small in stature.
On Rosh Hashanah, and at the start of tonight's service, Rabbi Deborah Schuldenfrei spoke about Hineni, being present. It was used by Abraham, Moses, and so many of our Jewish ancestors. It was translated as, I am here, fully present for myself, my family, and my God. Today, we'd like to speak to you about being present, Hineni, for our community. But first, before we begin, we want to recognize two important differences from past years. First of all, there are two of us. For the first time, Kol Tikvah has co-presidents. I'm Cynthia Deculis.
And I'm Tina DeGan.
And we'd like for you to get to know us.
Well, Hineni, here I am. But how did I get here? I'm a girl from the Bronx who experienced a very secular Jewish childhood. Being Jewish meant speaking Yiddish with my grandparents, eating bagels from Julie's Bakery down the block, latkes at Hanukkah, and sipping and sneaking more than 4 glasses of Manischewitz with my cousins at the family Seder. Fast forward to when I graduated from UC Santa Barbara, I moved to the Monterey Peninsula. I was a speech therapist working there. How do you meet people, especially Jewish men, in a new place? You join the local synagogue, and I did just that. But on the way, I found that I wanted to learn more about Judaism. So I took some classes, and before I knew it, at 26, I became an adult B'nai Mitzvah. 2 years later, I moved to Madrid, Spain, where I worked for 6 years for the Department of Defense. I was young, I was single, looking for adventure, but the stories that I have to tell are all top secret, so I'll have to share them another time. Finally, I moved back to the LA area where I met and married my husband Jonathan in the choir over there. When our daughter Alana became of B'nai Mitzvah age, we joined Kol Tikvah and haven't looked back. Alana became a cantor in training. Jonathan joined the choir and taught some adult ed classes on how Jewish composers influenced music. And I got involved with committees, got invited to be on the board as VP of Ritual Practices. And then, when I was about ready to retire, after 6 years in my position, Laura Rabney and Cynthia approached me about becoming co-pres. So they twisted my arm until I said yes. And that was my Hineni moment.
Well, Hineni, here I am, another girl from New York, the least traveled borough, Staten Island. You've heard of it? I was raised in a conservative household where rituals and traditions were everything. My childhood memories of Yom Kippur included services that were very long, all in Hebrew, led only by men who all seemed to be very upset. There was no music, and I was wearing an itchy wool dress, and it was very hot outside. I also remember fondly, though, that it was a time for my family to connect without any distractions, and how incredibly proud I was to be the only kid off from school on a weekday, walking hand in hand with my dad to synagogue. He was in his best suit, and we would walk past the kids lining up on the school bus stop in my nearly all-Italian neighborhood, and I just felt so special. I never attended religious school and never had a bat mitzvah. Everything I learned at home, where my dad said Kiddush every Friday night from a prayer book that sits with his ashes in the gardens at Boca Raton. After graduate school, I moved here, 3,000 miles from home, and I got my job as an administrator at Cedar Sinai, and that has really kept me grounded in Jewish culture. I started all my own traditions. typically being the only Jew at my Passover Seder. Fast forward to 2010. My husband BJ and I agreed that it was important to expose our kids, then 7 and 4, to organized religion, despite my never having any kind of affiliation and BJ having experienced racism in the Catholic Church. We started shul shopping, and like Tina, we found this welcoming community at Kol Tikvah, and we never looked back. And before you knew it, I was on the board as VP of Membership, a position I held on and off for 7 years. And when I look out at you all and I see so many of you who joined during my tenure in that role, it really warms my heart. Both kids consider Kol Tikvah their home away from home, and BJ quickly earned the nickname Super Jew for all his participation, including being the longest-serving member of Coldplay, musician in Coldplay, and his unwavering commitment to this community. As co-presidents, Tina and I think of all of you who have had this role before. I'm looking out at so many of your faces, and we are in awe of how you did it alone. We have so much respect for you and so much appreciation for each other.
The second difference between this year's High Holy Day services and those of year past is that there are 4 rabbis who are in the services, 3 on the bima, and Rabbi John, who's been sending us reflections every week. If you haven't had a chance to read them, please do. They are wonderful. For those of you who are new to Kol Tikvah, you may not know that our beloved Rabbi John is on a temporary medical disability leave, receiving treatment for a very treatable lymphoma. He is feeling joy and gratitude for the loving kindness that our congregation has showered upon him and his family during this difficult time. As expressed in his letter, which you can find on the inside cover of The Voice, he says the greatest gift that we can give to him is to step forward and increase our spiritual, communal, and fiscal commitment to Kol Tikvah.
The Jewish community has rallied to our support and responded with Hineni. We have fallen in love with Rabbi Deborah. Where is she? We've fallen in love with her. We've fallen in love with you. And we hope that you'll be part of our Kol Tikvah family forever. When fellow clergy from Stephen S. Weiss Synagogue heard of our challenges, they reached out via their senior rabbi, Yoshi Zweiback, and offered assistance. As a result, we enjoyed the meaningful sermon on Erev Rosh Hashanah by Rabbi Josh Noble, and tomorrow morning we are so pleased to welcome Rabbi Ron Stern and look forward with anticipation to hear his message. Having these 3 rabbis reach out to assist us demonstrates the respect and affection of the greater Jewish community for Rabbi John and the investment that they have in all of us and the success of Kol Tikvah. We really appreciate their support and their help, and they, along with Dr. Joel Stein, who had just started full-time on July 1st, have truly demonstrated Hineni, being present when we needed them most.
At a recent board meeting, we asked the board members what they valued most about Kol Tikvah, and many answered community and connection, and we have to agree with them. So I ask you tonight, what do you find meaningful about Kol Tikvah? Community, connections. At Kol Tikvah, we joyfully share in each other's simchas, but we also provide love and support in our time of illness and also sorrow. Personally, I felt the importance of community when my father Paul passed away in March 2020. It was the beginning of the pandemic lockdown, and me and my family felt very isolated. And we had only 10 masked family members at the gravesite. And yet, Rabbi John and the Kol Tikvah community came to our support, and they offered friendship and love, and it was the way through the Zoom Shivas. At that time, they were a brand new experience, and they really helped our family through the grieving process and the healing process. The clergy and Kol Tikvah community, they were here for me and my family, and I will be forever grateful.
When I think about community and connections at Kol Tikvah and how this synagogue stands out from all other synagogues, I consider the special relationship my family has with the clergy and all the staff and every single security guard. I think it is quite unique, especially for kids to have such a warm bond with their rabbi and to feel so comfortable and loved by an entire community. Of particular importance to me has been the relationship my kids have with the seniors in our Renaissance group, because my kids don't have any grandparents any longer of their own. You all have embraced them and supported them through all their endeavors, and BJ and I can't thank you enough for that.
A few years ago, we eliminated the word membership and instead have asked everybody to make annual congregational commitments. This was a very intentional shift. It was a way to recognize that our synagogue is also a charitable organization. And we need to provide for this organization because it gives to our community at large, to us, and also gives tzedakah to other charities.
Have you ever wondered how our mom and pop synagogue, with a limited budget and very small staff, manages to create such a full calendar of events and to always be there for us? Our annual congregational commitment only covers 25% of our costs. And 46% of our religious school students are on some form of financial aid, which is up from 38% last year. We rely heavily on fundraising. And we have very, very successful events like our gala, golf tournament, poker, educational luncheon, but we truly depend on your generosity at this time of year in order to balance our budget.
And can you respond with Hineni and be present for Kol Tikvah? Let us look to the future of our synagogue and the Jewish community as well, and provide the needed funds which will allow us to thrive and grow.
We hope to raise $100,000 during this appeal to support financial aid for our religious school, the upkeep of this building, which allows us all to be here together, the ongoing programming everyone enjoys, which includes Torah study, book club, adult education, Tat Shabbats, a variety of different youth groups, senior outreach events, and our incredibly caring committee, which is always there for us in good times and bad. And most importantly, your financial supports allows our clergy to be there for anyone needing spiritual assistance, especially during life cycle events.
We ask you to consider all the priorities in your life that cost money.
Where does nourishing and protecting this community fit in? Please don't just rely on all the generosity of others. Kol Tikvah needs all of us.
Hineni, be present for your community, and you will feel renewed and uplifted in the new year.
Hineni reminds us to stand up together as a community and to stand up for our community, not just with our words, but with our deeds.
So please find this little donation card in front of you in the pews, and please use it, or turn to the QR code that Cynthia is going to demonstrate on page 25 of The Voice.
It's really small.
So what was I saying? So if you're joining us from home, please go to the website, koltikvah.org/appeal, and make your donations. On behalf of the Kol Tikvah board, the clergy, and the staff, we are grateful that you're able to join us this evening, that you're part of the Kol Tikvah family, and for giving generously.
Finally, we want to thank Rabbi Schuldenfrei, Dr. Joel Stein, the Kol Tikvah choir, the wonderful musicians for this beautiful service, and we welcome Rachel Rapport to the Bima with us. And we wish you all an easy and meaningful fast and a very happy and sweet new year. Chag Sameach.